What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the How I'm Feeling podcast. I'm your host, JDM, and thank you for tuning into episode 3. And for this episode, I'm bringing in camera operator Daniel Wurschl, and he is Austrian. My pronunciation was probably very, very bad, so I apologize for that. But on a serious note, Daniel has a ton of experience on set from doing various jobs throughout the years, and he has a ton of value to give, which is why I thought he'd be an important guest for us filmmakers to have on the How I'm Feeling podcast. So without further ado, let's sit back, relax, and learn some filmmaking. All right, so Daniel, my brother, how's it going, man? How you feeling?
Pretty good, pretty good. Long week, so a little tired, but feeling good.
Okay, well, thank you so much for, coming on as a guest on the How I'm Feeling podcast, man. I'm really excited for the value I feel like you have to offer to the filmmaking community, man.
Yeah, of course.
Okay, so I guess we'll just hop right in and get it started. How did you get started in film? Kind of give me that breakdown, how it happened for you. I know everybody's path is different. How did yours start?
So mine started, I would say, a long time ago. I'm from Austria. I grew up, always loved film, always loved cameras, always played around with cameras ever since I'm little. Went to school for film and photography and graphic design in Austria and got my master's in that, and then worked for a TV station in Vienna in Austria for about 5 years for editing and motion graphics, but I always wanted to be on set. So I always like bugged my boss to, whenever we shot a promotion or a commercial or whatever for the TV station, to be on set and to get my feet wet in shooting and getting the camera ready and all that stuff. And after 5 years, I won the green card in a lottery. There's a green card lottery for certain countries, and I was just like, you know what? Let's just try it. And so I went to took the green card, packed my bags, quit my job, broke up with my girlfriend, and just moved straight to Hawaii because I asked everybody, like, what's the best place to go with this card, and everybody said Hawaii. So I went straight to Hawaii, and the plan was just to be there for on vacation for 2 months, and then move to LA and really try to get the foot into the industry. But I ended up meeting somebody in Hawaii who worked in the industry, and I started to work there, and I worked there for 2 years as a PA for almost every department. I think except for hair and makeup, I probably did everything. Just like to get my foot into the door, and I always wanted to do camera. I knew that, but it was hard because it was like nobody knew me there. I had no relationship to any except for that woman I met there. And yeah, it's just like took every job I could in the movie industry, and I did everything. I worked in a camera rental house. I drove trucks. I worked in a production office, art PA, PA for everything. Like, so yeah.
Before we go any further, I just wanted to let you guys know that this podcast is sponsored by JDM Creative Visuals. JDM Creative Visuals is a modern day production company that's built to inspire, uplift, and motivate every single individual through quality and captivating content. Yeah, that's so interesting because I was actually thinking yesterday that part of being a filmmaker and being in film is you have to kind of figure out what you want to do. And a lot of times people talk about having like a tight niche market, but a lot of times you don't necessarily know that market until you get out and do it. So one thing that's like very interesting that you said is that you did 5 years, 6 years, you got out, you tried everything, you PA for everything, and then you kind of were able to find out, I like this, let me like concentrate more on this area, correct?
You're totally right. You don't know until you're in it what that means. And also, like, you don't, until you hold a camera on a movie set, you don't know what that means. And also, like, the hours, that's another thing. The hours, the stress, the fast movement, the hurry up and wait, all those things. You hear about those things, but I think, like, once you're on set, you see what it really means. And I think it's very important. Like, you can tell when I work with DPs or operators or other people in other positions, you know, if those people worked up the way, like through the chains, like from PA to everything, or not, or they just started in their position. You can tell.
Mm. Wow, that's super interesting. So you get out, you're in Vienna for these 5 or 6 years. You get the green card in the lottery. You come over to Hawaii, and you're doing all these PAing jobs. So talk to me about, and I understand now you're a Steadicam operator, but you started out with all this experience as an assistant to camera. So it's like, talk to me about how you did everything and how you started to really hone in on like, first ACing, second ACing, being an assistant to the camera. This is something that I really wanted to do. Like, how did that process start to work?
Yeah. So I figured like working through all those different departments in Hawaii, I figured that it is gonna be camera. Like I want to do camera. I want to have the camera and set the frame and operate so much because when I moved to America, I was like, oh, I want to be a producer, director, DP. I want to be everything, you know. And then like once you work on set, you see really what every position does. Then you like, as you said, like you hone into like you set an aim for a certain position. And to be honest, for me, it was like after 2 years working in Hawaii, my last job in Hawaii was a big feature, and I saw the Steadicam operator what he did in in the jungle with an IMAX on the Steadicam, and that was so it blew my mind. I was like, I watched him doing it, and I was like, this is whatever it takes, this is what I want to do. This is what I want to do for a living. I want to get there. This is it burned into my brain. Him seeing like flying that rig through the jungle, through the muddy, hilly pass, and he was killing it. It was insane. And I was just like, wow, whatever it takes, I want to do that.
Wow, wow, that's dang, that's yeah, that's pretty cool, and so you kind of like unlocked and found what you wanted to do, and it's interesting because you work the time, you spent the time, you find out you like ACing and that type of deal. And while you're doing it, after doing it for so long, you found a different passion and different liking for being a Steadicam operator. And we'll just kind of talk about that later because that's also an interesting thing about sometimes when you're on the right path, it can split and it can change. You can find other passions. What was it about being an AC that you really loved, and tell me some things that you really didn't really like about it and doing the job?
Let's see, as an AC, well, so first I was a camera PA on that big movie in Hawaii, and this movie had like a third and a fourth part that they shot in Atlanta, and they asked me if I want to move to Atlanta and work there for them. And I did. I moved there, and they got me into the union. I started to loading, and then after a few movies loading, I moved up to be a second assistant. And I would say what I really liked as a loader, I would say I started as a loader. As a loader, I really loved the two features I did loading 35 millimeter film. That's just, I'm so grateful that I got the chance because it's so rare nowadays that people shoot on actual film. And I'm just so grateful that I got the chance in this day and age to load 35 millimeter film for two big features. So that was an amazing experience just to because that's like the core medium that our industry is built on. And so I was just so happy that I got the chance to do that. And then as a second assistant, I just, especially as an A camera second assistant, I love to be on the front line with the DP, with the viewfinder, and just seeing like how they line up shots, how they work with light, how they work with the actors, how the DP communicates with the director. That whole process when you're a camera second assistant, you're right there, so you can just watch and learn from the best of the best. And this is probably my favorite part as an AC, what I did in those years, just like watching them work and see what they do. And yeah.
Nice, nice. So you're watching everybody on the crew work, directors, this and that. You're at this high level loading these things, and then obviously you venture into Steadicam. But before we kind of touch that area, um, let's explain to people what is Steadicam operation. How can you explain it simply, with some easy words?
What is Steadicam? So I actually see myself more as an operator than as a Steadicam operator. I see Steadicam as a tool, like how a crane is a tool for a camera, or a dolly, or a tripod, or gear head, or whatever. Like those are all, or a little remote head or stuff like that. Those are all tools you can use to create camera movement, to move the lens through space, to follow the actors around, or to tell a story. And the Steadicam is a very fascinating tool to me because it's so independent. You basically it's you and the camera, and you use the camera in 3D space by yourself to tell the story. Um, and ever since I've seen that, like I've seen it as a kid in Austria, like watching those movies, and I was like, how are those shots made? Because it starts there and then it goes stairs up and follows around. And I was like, how is that even possible? And it's barely shaking and it's so steady, and then I figured out, oh wow, those people like look like androids, almost like walking around in like a cyberspace suit with like a metal arm, and there's like a long broomstick with a camera on top. What is this? Like I was just like,
Yeah.
this is amazing. And and then I remember I went to there was a camera convention in Munich I went to, and I think I was 20 years old, and I went there, and they put it on me. I could barely stand, like almost tipped over me, like very skinny and tall. So I was
Hmm.
like not expecting. It looks so light, like it doesn't look heavy. When you see somebody that's really good flying that rig,
Yeah.
it just looks so easy and light. And they put it on me, and I almost fell over because I did not expect how heavy it is. And then in Europe, actually, those two people that put it on me, they said like, you have the wrong body. It's in Europe, or like at least like those people that told me that said like, you're too tall, you're too skinny. Usually good Steadicam operators are short and bigger. And I
Mm.
was like, and that was it for me. I was like, my dream was like, okay, I gotta find something else. And then many years later, I in America see operators that are so amazingly good with that have my body type, that are tall and skinny. And I was like, what were you guys talking about? That's not true. Like some of the best Steadicam operators are skinny and tall. Like
Mm.
it is possible. And that was like, okay, fuck it, I want to do it.
That's very interesting. You just answered actually the question I asked early on about changing your passion. You just pretty much answered it. You had already wanted to start with Steadicam and you liked it, but people kind of deterred you away from doing that, and you actually listened and not instead acting with like, I want to do this. I don't care what people say. I'm going to do it. So it was kind of like you did something. You did it for 15 years. You did it well, but really at heart, you really wanted to be a Steadicam or a camera operator and do that.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
So that was early on in my path. And it's so funny because I think the the lines between different departments and different positions on movie sets are more blurry in Europe, where I'm from. It's not as distinct. Like here in America, it's very like, if you do this position, that is it.
Hmm.
And in Europe, it's like everybody does a little bit of everything, at least where I'm
Hmm.
from. And it's also like the movie sets are smaller, and like everybody's like more, you have one PA that does everything, and you have two people in a camera department, and it's tiny, like, and you jump around also in the in the different departments. And here you have this union system where I cannot remember how many times I got yelled at when I moved to Hawaii and started out in the industry because I tried to help people from other departments. Like I saw the grips pushing up I was like a set PA, and I saw the grips pushing up like I don't know, a heavy cart. And I ran there and tried to push, and they were like, "You're not in the union. Don't touch that." And I was like, "What? I just wanted to help." And you like just to learn that system that's so different here is very very interesting. But and yes, so I think in Europe, I didn't realize that it's just such a specific position, the camera operator. I was more like, oh, I'm the camera guy that does everything,
Mm.
that holds the slate in front of his own camera, and then operates the camera, but then also like make sure the lighting is right. So, and then you come here, and here it's like, oh no, like the DP is like the head of three departments, and then you have the gaffer, and you have the key grip, and like the electrician is building the light, but like the grips are shaping the lights. Like all those things are like so specific and so um yeah, I don't know, like it's just very very specific, and it's clear definitions, whereas in Europe you just, or like at least the industry I'm from, it's more like, oh, let's help all together and let's make this somehow work.
Mm. Yeah.
And of course you see the difference, like that's why movies from here or from Hollywood look the way they look, and cheap ass productions where I'm from look the way they look. So
Yeah, they definitely don't play around in Hollywood, and it's all about organization, structure, and following the rules. Rules are very big. So yeah, there is that structure kind of set in place. Your transition from a first and second AC, and then you transition into Steadicam, right? So you do one thing for 15 years, and then all of a sudden you're kind of hitting the brakes and starting at square one to then be a Steadicam operator. Talk to me about how that transition was for you.
Yeah, it was not. It wasn't definitely not a clear cut. I think I I I was very lucky to work with some DPs that let me operate the camera here and there as an AC on certain situations. Let's say they just added last second the third camera, and the DP was like, Daniel, jump up there, take the camera, and you make your white shot of that scene. And so that was I was very fortunate to work with a few of those people, and they gave me that chance, which was amazing because I tipped my toe into the water, and I was really like, yeah, this is what I want to do. Like I just knew more and more and more the more chances I got. And then I worked with amazing, amazing Steadicam operators that also let me put on their rigs. And one of the first one that put on my rig on, like he was like, hey, at lunch, do you want to put it on? And I show you some tricks. And I was like, oh my God, yes, please. And that was many years ago. I was a second, no, actually, it was a loader. I was a loader on a feature in Atlanta, and that operator asked me, do you want to try it out? And I was like, oh my God, yes, please. And we did like half an hour. He didn't go to lunch. He stayed with me on set and put his rig on my body, and we played around. And that was fascinating. And then at some point, I just started to buy pieces for Steadicam. I never bought like the whole rig at once. And I also decided that I want to move back from Atlanta to Los Angeles because most of my mentors live here. And I also said like the scene of independent movies and music videos is bigger here. So I think the chances of me to start out as Steadicam operator on those smaller projects is definitely better in Los Angeles than in Atlanta. And so there were many decisions, and also like I love LA, I love the mountains and the ocean, so I just wanted to come back here anyway. And many reasons. So I moved back here, and one of my mentors told me like, hey, one of the best Steadicam operators is having a Steadicam workshop, 1 week workshop. You should do that. And I'm like, I looked it up, and it was like $4,000, and I was like, oh my God, that's so much money. And I asked again my mentor, and he was like, you gotta do it. It's one of the best. You will learn so much. And this was one of the best decisions in my life. I went there and I learned so much, and it started me out on the right feet because like on the right foot because I learned so many things to avoid from the get-go that I would have all the mistakes they did, they told us not to do. So like there were a few Steadicam operators there at that workshop, and we learned so much in that first week. And after that, I just like started to build my rig, and from that moment on, like I think it took me 4 or 5 months to complete and to have every single piece to have a working Steadicam. And from that moment on, I took small gigs and like small music videos and small shorts and indies or whatever. Whenever somebody needed me to come out for a few hours just for a scene, Steadicam scene, I came out. And I did that for I think 2.5 years. And after 2.5 years, I did one more feature as a camera assistant. And after that, I was like, this is it. I sold all my AC gear, and I told everybody I'm done with being an assistant, and I'm only working as an operator anymore. And that was a year ago, and I was super lucky to get a TV show 2 months ago. So now and the past year was harder because of course of COVID and everything we went through, and like the movie industry shut down. And I was still lucky to work on some music videos and some indies here and there, but there was nothing like full time. And then I got this TV show offered, and I'm super happy and glad that this DP reached out to me for that.
Yeah, no, that's crazy, man. Like, yeah, COVID obviously, hindered a lot of people's work and that whole thing. So that's a whole, another topic in itself. You kind of touched on like it took you a 4, 5, 6 months to kind of build your gear together and things like that. Let's talk about the gear aspect, because I know a lot of people always wonder about that. And how much money would you say thus far have you spent on acquiring gear, different pieces and things like that to help you operate better or to even get you started? operator, what would you say that number would be at right now?
For as an operator or for a Steadicam?
Let's just say Steadicam, just for like that Steadicam
Okay.
gear. Yep.
Um, I would, well, there's always like, for me, my philosophy was always like, I don't wanna buy a cheap rig and then have to buy another rig once I'm working on bigger movies or TV shows. So my philosophy was like, I want to buy the rig I will use on a big feature right away out of the gate because I don't want to buy two.
Hmm.
Because I always think like that I've seen that even as an AC buying gear as a camera assistant, I always felt like, or I always noticed like whenever I bought cheap, I actually bought expensive because you buy the cheap piece of equipment, and then once you're on the bigger show, you need a expensive piece of equipment, so you buy two. You end up buying two. So I would say, and I went with a rig or with a brand that most of my mentors work with. So I decided to use GPI Pro. And the first thing I bought, and I would advise every person that wants to do Steadicam, buy a vest. I would say this is the first piece of equipment as a Steadicam operator should own, because if you work on a TV show or if you work on a movie as a PA or as a camera assistant or as a loader, and you have a Steadicam vest, and this is a show that has a Steadicam operator, it's highly likely that the Steadicam operator will let you try out his rig when you have your own vest. The vest is such a personal item. It's measured to your body, it's fit to your body. You have Once you work with it, you have tons of personal sweat in there. So it's kind of gross to use somebody else's vest, at least I think. So, but if you have your own vest, then like bring it to set. Ask the Steadicam operator, hey, today's a Steadicam day at rep, probably not at rep, but like maybe at lunch, could I put it on and just like do some walks, like just go back and forth, or like put up a C stand, rotate around the C stand, and keep the knuckle in the center of the frame, is stuff like that. And so I would totally advise, this is the most personal piece for Steadicam. Get a vest first. It's also one of the cheapest pieces you're gonna buy. So I would say buy the vest first, and then think about what rig you want. And then they're good. There's this blog that's really good online, like Steadicam forum, where you can look up like people that sell their old rigs, and some of them are excellent rigs. Like they just sell an older pro rig, which is totally fine, which you can fly every camera on and get a pro arm. Like this is just like the path I went. There are other arms and other slats out there that are also good, but I just went pro and I've not regretted it. And I love my rig. So just like piece by piece, you add the things. Or what I did as a camera assistant, years before I purchased my first piece for an actual Steadicam, I bought four 8 Ionic batteries and a charger, because I thought like I can maybe get this on the show as a rental and make some money of it. And when I have a Steadicam, this is part of my rig because I need the batteries. And then later on, bought an onboard monitor for it, or like a small HD onboard monitor for the camera, because maybe I can get it on a show that pays itself off. And once I have a rig, that could be on the rig as an onboard monitor. Things like that. Like think about things that could help you in the position you are on, in the position you're in right now, and you could maybe get on rental and make some money of it, but that also will in the future could work on the Steadicam or could help you as a camera operator.
Nice. So for people that say they've heard, Dionic batteries, and they've heard vest, they've heard sled, give me like a ballpark so people that listen just understand, that being a Steadicam operator or investing in Steadicam is not a cheap route. You have to really be committed and understand that it's something that you want to do before you make these. So kind of give us some price ranges on how much does a vest cost, how much does a sled cost, and I know there's so many different varieties and things like that, but just give a person that's entry level some sort of like starting ground as to what to plan for financially. You see what I'm saying?
Again, you're right. They're like different prices and everything. And I would say like just as an example, the probably cheapest piece of equipment you're gonna buy is gonna be a Dionic battery. And if you get like a resale battery through, I bought it through John Ritter, who has excellent products. I'm not getting any money from him by saying that, but I'm just like I love the stuff I'm getting through him, and I save tons of money through him. You get, I think a Dionic battery is like $250, and usually they're like 500. So you save half the price. So that's probably the cheapest piece of equipment. And then a vest, I would say vests are usually between $4,000 and $6,000,
Mm-hmm.
depending which brand you buy or which model you buy, but they're usually between 4 and 6, I would say. And then the Steadicam arm, I don't know the prices of the competition, but the arm I have, if you buy it new, is about 20,000.
Okay,
It's about
I think
$20,000.
I think people will understand from there that this is not a this is not
No,
a
just
cheap kind of thing to venture into if you're not serious about doing it.
no.
And
So I think the whole package that I own is a very, very nice James Bond car.
yeah,
Just so you know, it takes a lot of like risk taking,
mhm.
and then also like saving money, and just like it took a while to build that package.
Okay. So you have sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. I didn't know you were still talking. I'm getting a little bit of a lag here on my end. Uh you somebody's trying to I had a question for you, and it was somebody's trying to get their feet in the door as a Steadicam operator. They're bare bones beginner. But I kind of actually, after listening to you, I kind of wanted to ask the question in a different way. Somebody just wants to get their feet wet on set. They want to be a PA to understand these different positions and kind of see what they want to do. How can somebody do this, as in get their feet wet? Entry position PA, what are some things that they can do to make this happen? And also, if somebody has already done that and they want to go into Steadicam, which ways that they can kind of get their feet wet and get their foot in the door too?
This is a very good question, and I don't think there's like an answer that works for everybody. And I think that everybody has a different story. I would I would definitely recommend, if you want to do Steadicam, or if you want to do camera operating, or if you want to work on movies, get definitely your feet wet as a PA. You should work for months as a PA on set, just to see how's the set run, how does it work, how does it feel to you to be on set for 14 hours a day? Like that, not everybody is made for that. Like it, it's hard. Like it's not. And I've seen so many of my friends in Hawaii drop in and out. Like so many of them I started with, I think two of us are still doing it
Mm.
out of a huge group of people. Everybody else changed their careers because they were just like, no, I'm not okay with like working 80 hours a week. And so that's why I would definitely say get your feet wet as a PA, and then be on set, work hard, and then also watch what other people doing. I think the biggest skill you need to be on set, any position, is awareness.
Mm.
Be on set, have open ears and eyes, see what everybody is doing, think about why they are doing it, think about, and also like not everybody is good, see why people are good, why people are bad. And again, like for every position, it doesn't really matter. And to get to a PA job, I would, again, like there's no master plan for doing that. If you don't know anybody who works in the movie industry, I would just like look up production companies, look up music video production companies, commercial production companies, and reach out to them. Say like, I'm willing to work hard. I would love to be on set. I would love to work with you guys. Maybe they give you a shot. Like maybe they give you one day. If they like you and they see you're a hustler, you get another job.
Mm.
If they and it's all about networking. It's like once you're in on one job and you do a good job, the producer or the showrunner, or like whoever who sees you in shop, who likes you, the assistant director or the department head or the assistant production coordinator, or whoever is your next boss or whatever, that likes you, has a friend most likely in the industry on a different production company that is looking for a good person. So once you're in it, gonna kill it, work your ass off, and you will see the word spreads so fast, and it takes a minute, but it can go very quickly, that you will have no jobs for half a year, and then you will get called every day for a PA job, and you keep working and working and working.
Yeah, and I just obviously if people thus far haven't figured out that you're very experienced and you've gone through the gauntlet and the ropes and have come up on sets and
Hmm.
things like this. Just if somebody's still hesitant as to receive the information that you're giving. You've been on some big sets. You've worked with some big people. Would you like to
Hmm.
share some, like, these movies or these sets that you've been on, who you've been have the chance to be around, just so people understand that you are in fact proven and you have put your time in?
Yeah, I think I've probably worked on every scale. Uh, I would say, like, I've worked on the smallest three-man indie craziness productions, and I've worked on some of the biggest sets probably ever. So yeah, I think I've seen most of the sizes of production there are out there. And yeah, if you want to look up what I've worked on, just look me up on IMDb.
Oh, okay,
You'll see
yeah,
all the
yeah.
movies.
People, yeah, that's the
But yeah,
first thing.
punch in my
So,
name, you see what I've worked on, and if you have questions, yeah, you can reach out to me and ask me. I'm working full time on a show right now, so I don't have that much free time. But I don't know, maybe JD, you can share my email address
oh yeah,
because I'm not really on social media. I have accounts, but I'm not actively on social media. But if you want to read, if you want to share my email address, my email address is basically danielwurschl@gmail.com. So it's just my name, no dots in between. It's just like danielwurschl@gmail.com. So if anybody wants to reach out to me and has questions, reach out to me. I'm sorry if it takes longer. I'm really slammed right now, but I'm totally open to help people. I had so many amazing people along my way that helped me and that gave me tips and tricks and gave me shots and jobs and everything. And I'm more than happy to pass on everything I know.
yeah, yeah. And I know a lot of people haven't had the opportunity to meet you and know you personally, but I do, and I know. He really means this. I know you really mean that. If somebody has a question and if they want to reach out to you, shoot Daniel an email, because he will respond to you, and he's a good guy. He has a big heart, and I know he's going to give you the best answer he can. So kind of wrapping things up and ending it, I always like to ask people, where do you see yourself in 5 years? I'm going to see where you're at now, and I'm going to replay this clip, 5 years from now, and I know you'll be at where you say now. So where do you see yourself in 5 years? What does it look like for you?
I mean, this is my goal that I usually don't talk about it, but I have it in my head. I always set myself goals, and I've set myself the goal, I think 5 years ago, that I'm going to operate a Steadicam on a union production, and I got there, so I'm very happy that came true. And my goal in 5 years, I would say, I would love to be. Right now, I'm a B camera operator, and I would love to be an A camera operator in 5 years on a feature.
Okay, okay. Well, let's put that out into the air. That's gonna happen for you, my brother. You're gonna be
Put it
a
out there. Put it
put it
out
out.
there.
You're gonna be an A camera operator. You're gonna receive all the goals that you set for yourself. Because when you're a good person and you're wholehearted and you do good things for others, it always has a way of kind of coming back to you. And I know that's who you are. So I know you'll have all the success that you want to have.
Thank you. This is another thing. I've worked with a lot of people that are amazing at their jobs, and some of them are very nice, and some of them are not. And my goal was always to prove that you can make it and that you can achieve your goal by being kind
Mhm.
and being a nice person. And this is being, or like staying true to that, is more important to me than being successful in a career.
Mm.
I think that's what we need more in this world right now. So
I would agree with you on that, my brother. I think we do need more of that, and if everybody kind of acted with that level of care and thought process, I think that the world would be a much better place than what it is now. To be honest with you,
yes.
but Daniel, thank you so much for being a guest on the How I'm Feeling podcast. I knew you wouldn't disappoint me, and I even sat here and I was able to listen to some things and learn myself. So it was very good to hear you talk and the value that you had to offer, man. I'm really glad that we were able to become friends, and you're somebody I can text and you always respond and you always help me out and go the distance for me. So I really do appreciate our friendship, and I appreciate you, my brother.
I appreciate you, man. Really glad I met you.
All right, man. All right. So, yeah, that'll wrap it up. And thank you so much for being on this, man.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
All right, brother. We'll talk later.